Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
Mira Business FM, The Morning Drive. My name is Tim Elliott, and I'm joined now by David Mackenzie, who is the founder and CEO of Mackenzie Jones, the recruitment specialists.
That was very nicely put.
See, enunciation and everything.
It was very good. Actually, everything was perfect on that. Thank you.
Great.
I feel
Finally,
I feel loved.
After 15 years, I got it right. I'm always a bit like Mackenzie Jones, the people that do
Jobs.
Job stuff.
My son's right. When they say, yeah, my dad gets people jobs.
Well, I mean, it's true.
I would like a little more sort of flowering of it. It'd be nicer.
A little more flowery language, a bit more verbosity.
Exactly.
No, do you know what? We're having a laugh in the office the other day, yesterday actually, chatting about job interviews. So, the good, the bad, and the ugly of job interviews. And there's so many stories. I had a friend once who, my friend Neil, who used to he did a lot of different jobs before he started his own company. But his thing was to kind of bounce in, be really enthusiastic, and he'd be like, put his hand out and say, "Hi, nice day for a job interview." And I used to think, I was 17, 18, and I think that's probably not the best approach. I think you need to be a bit more serious. He's like, no, I want to be like that.
Depends on your audience.
It really does.
Yeah,
you're taking a risk, aren't you? But I mean, if that's it, but he was being very authentic because that's the kind of guy he was. But I'm not sure. Is that a good? Probably not. No.
I think the problem is if you're overly enthusiastic, you don't know what the interview is like. The interviewer might be a bit of an introvert.
Yeah.
So you obviously have to not mirror the person you're interviewing with, but listen to their cues and see how they're coming across.
I think that's a really good point. It's really important to read the room, isn't it? Where it's particularly in an interview situation. I did an interview for a radio station. This is years ago, and I sat there and I went, really, this was a music station because that's where I started. I kind of said, I'd really like to do the weekend shifts for you, but I really want to get back into news. Which was a completely different department, different part of the building, completely different administration. So I was kind of saying, without thinking it through, I don't really want to work for you. I'm only here to work for you to get to them. So he sent me upstairs to talk to the news. It turned out fine.
Oh, okay.
But not the greatest moment. So
well, at least you're honest, I suppose.
Well, maybe, but, a bit stupid. At least start there and kind of wheedle your way in, a bit more subterfuge necessary. Yeah. So anyway, look, I was thinking this morning, to anybody listening, if you've had a particularly great interview experience, that's interesting, and, we'd love to hear about it. We prefer to hear about the funny stuff, of course, however. So whatsapp.mira.fm would be interesting. But I was looking online at a few things, and I wanted to run this by you, because actually, as much as this is kind of amusing, some of these stories make really good points in interviews. And I think with you here, it's good to bounce off and see whether it's reasonable or not. Here's a story. These are just sourced from online, different sources. I showed up, and the woman at the front desk greeted me while I waited for the interview. I introduced myself and handed her my resume. Okay. Once I got into the actual interview, I saw she had taped a bright pink note to my resume that read, "Has the personality of a rock."
That's savage, isn't it?
Which is
from a receptionist.
That's from the...
Well, there's a good point on that, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, shall I make that now?
Yeah, go on. It's your turn. Well, there is a response. This person says, how she determined that from our brief introductory exchange, because you're like, hi, and you're nervous. Your personality is maybe not the most important thing, was beyond this person. The interviewer saw my facial expression when I saw the note in the interview room. I thanked him for his time, and I left. This person just walked out because I'm not working for you if you're going to, be like that, if you're that kind of people. So two sides to that story.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly receptionist or person hosting the interview outside the room got it wrong, but maybe you could have not laughed it off. But
yeah, you could have said, "Oh, my first entrance wasn't particularly great." Your receptionist's not a great fan of mine. Let me explain why. I'm quite nervous for this interview. But my point is whenever I used to go for interviews, and when I go for client meetings, is probably a good example.
Right.
The people I greet the most, the door person. If you're going up in a lift, say good morning to people in the lift.
Yeah.
When you get a reception, look at them in the eye, smile at them, say, "How are you?"
But that's you. That's your personality.
It very much is. But I think I try and tell my candidates that every touch point once you enter that building is a reference point for your client. So when I used to be at Monster, when I was interviewing people to come and join Monster, we had a guy called Tom. He had no teeth, okay, because he was in the paras and he had them all taken out. And he put false ones in. I don't know why their story's relevant, by the way, but anyway.
It's illustrated it brilliantly because I want to meet Tom now.
Unfortunately, I think he's
I don't
dead,
care about your story. Tell me about Tom.
So Tom, yeah, he's a decorated parrot. Anyway, he's our doorman at Monster.
Okay.
Really nice guy. Bear in mind, we were his sort of crazy .com guy. And I'd walk in and go, Tom would go, I've just seen your interview up, Mr. Mackenzie. He always called me Mr. Mackenzie, which was very odd. And I'd say, what do you think of them, Tom? And he'd go, thumbs up or thumbs down. Yeah, really? Interesting. And I got to say, he was pretty much spot on.
That's interesting.
And he was the doorman downstairs. Every single person is important. Once you enter a company building, everyone has opinion. You don't know if you're in the lift with the president. You don't know if the person getting their coffee from reception is your future boss. You've just got to be, as soon as you enter that building, you're game on.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. No, that's interesting. And the other side of that as well is if you're in a new environment, you're going into a new place with new people. One of the ways of kind of building that little bit of confidence, a little bit of bounce in your step is just to say hi, to go up and that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also, a receptionist is sitting there all day seeing people come in, and her micro world of people coming in, she judges people on how they are with her. And I bet you any money, a boss will go, what do you think of them after the interview? Yeah, I really liked them, didn't like them. It does affect people's opinion.
Well, a good boss would do that with people because, if you're thinking this through properly, you're thinking about how somebody fits. The culture fit is important, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I was interviewing for a management position running a mailroom. This is an American example. Do we still have mail? I don't think we do we?
No.
We have server rooms now.
Yeah.
The emails.
I don't think. Have you had a letter in the last 10 years?
I had to send something back to the tax office, and I took my son, and I said, I couldn't park, so I said, have I told you this?
No.
No, okay, good. I thought, no, for a minute there, I thought I'm going to be even more boring than usual. So I dropped him off outside, and I said, will you just run in and send the letter for me? Because there was nowhere to park. And I was driving round and round, and about half an hour later, he comes back, and he's quite flustered.
With a letter?
He'd managed to do it. I'm like, I've been there forever, and I've had to drive around. He's like, well, I didn't know what to do. I've never posted a letter.
Oh.
Didn't know how it worked. There was no kind of real concept of it.
Oh my God, I haven't even thought of that concept.
So, I mean, it's still, I have posted a few letters recently.
We digressed.
I do take care of my correspondence. Anyway, so I'm interviewing for a management position running a mailroom. It was something I'd done twice before, and all the standard questions were asked. I felt like it was going well, but the interviewer suddenly said to me, I'm hearing a lot of I from you.
Ooh.
I'm concerned because we are about the team and not the individual here. And this person says, I thought, what's that all about? This is a job interview. You're concerned that I'm answering questions you've specifically asked about me with answers that address your questions about me. Again, it's that reading the room thing, reading between the lines in this.
But also, you've got to remember, companies, when they interview you, are trying to show you how good they are. So they need to make a bit of an effort. If that person was being that pedantic about I don't know, it's a bit of an odd one. Americans are sometimes a bit odd.
But generally?
Yeah, I work for 2 American companies pretty much, yeah.
Okay. What in terms of culture or hiring?
No, I think the ones that are outside of America are amazing. I think they're culturally quite interesting. They've got some great stuff to talk about. The ones I used to work with in America were very, not my cup of tea.
That's going to be the Instagram reel now, don't you?
And you know what? I went for a very senior job in America, and I did about 8 weeks there, and my boss said, how are you getting on? I said, I hate it. And he went, well, what do you want to do then? I said, I want to go back to England. And he went, really? I went, yeah. He said, you do realise there's no job for you back in the UK? I went, yep. And this is a very serious point. When I was at Monster, I was going for a very senior role. And the whole dynamics of working in an American organisation, I think it's changed a lot. But then it was I found it quite backstabbing. I think the way they interacted was really bad. And actually, I then went back to an American company back in UK and then one in Europe, and it was fantastic. The Americans were really engaging. Their attitudes were brilliant. They were really gun-ho. But in America, it was very odd. I found it. It's my only experience of actually working in the States. But I was not a great fan, and I wouldn't choose to go back there. That's it. I've got no more job offers from the States now.
No, I was going to say, you've got to close that door. In fact, you've slammed that door in your own face.
Pretty sure I've burnt the door as well.
Okay.
Maybe, Fraja, you should edit that bit out.
I have to salvage this interview somehow. Couple more I wanted to bring to you, because there are different points in lots of these stories. Right, I had an interview during which the job hours were revealed to me, and they were all over the place: 10 to 2 on Monday, 1 to 4 on Tuesday, 4 to 9 on Wednesday. I told the interviewer the job wasn't for me, and she started crying. She told me tearfully that she and her team were so impressed with my CV, they'd been trying to fill the job for months. So I awkwardly thanked her and said bye, and she tearfully led me out of the room. Oh, that's must be difficult.
Yeah, but I would say to her, is there any way we can just have normal hours? Is there any way we can do split hours or something? Can we? That doesn't make sense.
Maybe that would have stopped the tears. I don't know.
Poor lady. She was probably on the edge by the sounds of it anyway.
I'm thinking that's a hard job to fill.
Yeah, exactly.
There was another one here. This I really like, because this goes to company culture, and we're in, we're kind of through that tech era of, slides at Google and beanbags everywhere and stuff. It's reasonably.
Scooters in the building, yeah.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. So I applied for a software developer position for an online retailer. The second round of interviews was a cultural fit interview with HR. I assumed it would be a one-on-one interview. Instead, it was a room of about 20 people applying for any position from legal to finance. So, wow. I guess the idea is the networking thing, getting on. I'm not sure. But this is what's interesting. They asked us to stand up, curl into a ball, and pretend we were flowers opening. Ugh. I honestly thought it was some kind of prank, but then I saw everybody around me doing it. I thanked them for the opportunity and left.
Best call ever.
Yeah, I think so.
These gimmicks of interviewing, essentially what a client wants to see is, can you do the job? Can you fit the culture? And what sort of personality you have. Those are the three key components. When you ask somebody to, curl up and ball, pretend they'll be a starfish or something, other way around, obviously. I don't see the point in that. It's just almost creating humility for an individual that.
It's much more that than it's not as it's not quite. It's not negative. It just seems pointless.
But also these group interviews. I don't believe in group interviews. Unless when I was going to the army, when we went to Sandhurst, we had this group interview, and they did us a really nice dinner, and we were all black tie and everything, and then we had to mill around, but they didn't. They assessed us how we integrate. It was a very informal setting. It worked beautifully well, but it wasn't contrived. I think when you go to an interview and they go, right, okay, pretend you're in a meeting and see how you interact. It's rubbish. I don't believe in that stuff. I believe you've got to have real case scenarios. So if you're going to be a lawyer, what do they want to see is, can you read legal text? Can you analyse it? And can you present it? So sitting in a room with 20 people in a false environment, I don't think is the right thing to do. But that's a personal view. And I'm an extrovert, by the way, and I wouldn't do that.
No, it's so far from the role to me. I'm not sure I've ever curled up into a ball and made like a flower in any job I've ever had. Maybe it's where I'm going wrong.
I've curled up in a ball when things have been going off around me to escape them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've done
when
that.
Somebody's trying to shoot at me.
Yeah, I got mugged once, and that helped me, curling into a ball.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just chuck your watch on the ground and your phone and curl in a ball.
That's exactly
what you get attacked by a mountain lion.
No, it was
down Alcoz.
2 guys. It really wasn't funny at the time, but now it's quite amusing.
I can't see how any of that's funny.
Dear, I've just admitted that on here. Anyway,
was it in London or was it here?
No, it wasn't here. It was just quite a frightening situation.
Yeah,
it was fine. I didn't lose much.
That does sound horrible.
I didn't have anything. Yeah, it was. I got kicked a few times. Anyway, that's not why we're here.
I feel we've triggered him now.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
yeah. It's triggered. Oh, you've triggered me. It's triggered a memory.
Sorry.
Probably no, it hasn't at all. But the point of all this is that. How you interview, what you present, you want to present yourself, and you want your authentic self to be there in sort of modern parlance. But you you don't want to be too pushy. It's a very fine balance, a line you have to walk, isn't it?
The thing is, when you prep for an interview, one thing is if you're going through a recruitment company, ask what the client's like. Look at their LinkedIn profile. Look what they've posted on LinkedIn. If you can find their Instagram or Facebook, just get a feel what they're like as a person, by the way.
Right.
By the way, do not mention that personal stuff in an interview.
A good point. Okay.
Because it becomes slightly creepy then. So talk about, look at their, how are they good at presenting? Are they into environment? Have they done a load of how are the shares doing for the company? You've got to do loads of research before an interview. So if somebody says, do you know our company? Yeah. You've just launched a new car. It's done very well on the sales bill in China. I think you're struggling a bit in Asia. Just have a bit of knowledge, but it means you've done a bit of research. But read the room. So once you've seen who the individual is, once you've seen their LinkedIn, you can get a gauge of what they're like as a person. My view is the first part of your interview is the most important. Be polite, eye contact, and listen. Okay.
What about the old thing of, and this goes back to your point, demonstrating in some way for some reason. Somebody says to you, the old thing of, sell me a pen. What do you think of that kind of tactic? No, okay.
Probably because the people I recruit now are much more mid to senior. And I think if a really good interviewer wants somebody to work for their company, they know what they want. So does that person fit that mold? There's usually 3 stages of interviews. The first one is a bit like a menu. It's the hors d'oeuvre. You get to know them, you get to see what they're like, and do you quite like it? Then you've got the main course, which is the proper interview, which is probably a second interview with a senior manager and an HR person. And then you've got the dessert, which is right, we really like this person. We want to see if they gel with the team.
You're so sophisticated with your hors d'oeuvres and your entrees and your desserts, isn't it?
I am. It's all that public school breeding.
You're like blinis and caviar and all that stuff.
I do like blinis. I'm not a caviar fan particularly.
I can't afford it, but I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah.
What's
happening this morning in this?
It's become a cooking show.
It has, yeah. We'll swap recipes after.
Yes.
Where were we?
We were talking about, so you've got the 3 stages of the interview, and I think you've got to read the room properly. So when you walk in, it's also what do you dress like when you go into an interview? Look at the company website. Find out people who've been working. What are they like during the day? Find out what your person interviewing you is wearing in some of their stuff on LinkedIn. Just get an idea. And if you're working with a recruiter, say, look, what's their culture like? Are they jeans and T-shirt? But if they are jeans and T-shirt, wear chinos, something smart with a collared shirt. Go up above. Look a bit smarter, because that always shows you've made a bit of an effort.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I didn't mean for this to be like a whole interview thing, but I think it's a really important topic. And we were just kind of laughing yesterday, and it makes you think, well, actually, it's a lot more important, because you do a limited number of job interviews.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you do.
Yeah.
And it's not a skill that many of us really have.
It's nerve-wracking.
It really is. Yeah,
so the more prepared you are, the better the interview will go. The more you know what's going to happen. You know what the person looks like. You know where the building is. You know how long it's going to take you to get to the building. Is there a parking space? Should you go by taxi? If you're going to JLT, never go by car. Always go by that. It's all those little things that you have to prepare for. Yeah. And I think candidates fail to do that. They go, got an interview tomorrow. This is the address. I'll rock up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So take it seriously, and all of the advice from previously. We've got a new segment that we're doing. It's called today's the 3 Ds, and the 3 Ds are David's do's and don'ts. Today's topic, as William Shakespeare might once have said, things to do or not to do in a job interview.
Oh.
See?
I like the last bit. Thanks. Intonation up.
I know. Well, we try and rhyme here.
Yeah.
So the rules here are: you say do or not do. If you're not sure, you can add with reservations.
Oh, okay.
Do with reservation.
Not do with reservation. Okay.
Or one with reservation. Yep. So this is all to do with job interviews. Arrive late.
No way. Don't. Sorry.
Thank you. Not do. Arrive too early.
Do.
Okay. Kick your shoes off.
Not do.
Right. Lean back and relax.
Not do.
Dress appropriately.
Do.
Good. Chew gum or eat.
Not do.
Maintain eye contact.
Do.
Listen actively.
Do.
Thank you very much. Use your phone. Answer a text.
Don't do. Not do.
Ask thoughtful questions.
Do.
Speak negatively about past employers.
Not do.
Highlight your achievements.
Do.
Be yourself.
Do.
Get personal.
With a reservation.
Okay.
The dessert part of the interview.
Okay. Discuss money.
First interview, not do.
Curse freely.
I think you know that, not do.
Exactly right. Okay, now that's interesting. So that will go on the Tweety-gram. What's it called? The Tweety-gram.
The Tweety-gram.
That's what that's for, apparently. No, that's an Instagram thing, obviously. But I think that's really important that, it's your first thought is the key here.
Yes.
And your answers were immediate.
Yeah.
Pretty much in every case. So, David Mackenzie, sideways glance at HR trends, kind of just a few stats. I know lots of this is kind of a little bit, blah, blah, blah.
No, but these are always good.
Very competitive as a global hiring landscape here in the UAE. It's complex. You have to navigate through. It's a competitive time, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But this got my attention, and I wonder if this is something that you see, hear, talk about, feel. Around 85% of the UAE labour force is demotivated or disengaged at work.
Oh, wow.
That's why...
85%?
Yeah, this was Curious.com. It's a hiring guide, UAE HR trends for 2026. Relatively recent article. I was just kind of reading some stuff the other day. And I thought, hold on a minute, 85%.
So only 15% of the population is happy in their job.
That's what you would think.
Our working population, give or take, 3 million people.
Yeah.
So out of that, 500,000, give or take, are happy. The rest aren't.
Not even quite that, but yeah, that essentially, yeah. I mean,
that's ridiculous. I don't think that's the case. Look, I think I always say this to people: if you're during a week or during a month, if 70 to 80% of your time you're happy doing your job, you're winning.
For sure, surely.
Because you're going to have days when you go.
Yeah,
I like Thursdays. For me, Thursday's a good day. I come and see you. We do this. I really enjoy this. I then have 2 client meetings after this. It's one of my favourite days, and I look forward to it. So if this is 100% one day, the other 4 have to be around 50 or 60%. And some days are terrible. Some days I just don't like my job. But it's not the actual. It doesn't mean that I don't like what I do. It just means that day's been bad. And you have to accept that.
Well, you do. And you also sort of think, you kind of know going into each week, I mean, none of us look forward to Mondays, but there's always going to be a difficult day.
Yeah.
Like doing this, for example, there'll be a day when there are 2 interviews that are particularly difficult. You're not one of them. You're not. I wasn't kind of pointing.
Me and James.
in that direction. And then there are other days that are great. But that, I mean, the idea is to push through it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's just part and parcel.
I like Mondays because I get to see my team. So I see my team Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And it's quite nice. We have a full office. Admittedly, the start of the day is a bit like, restarting a juggernaut. But once they're firing up, I try and make it it's all about what have you done this weekend, how are you getting on. I try and make it a bit more an interesting environment to be in. And 3 coffees down, everyone's fine.
Yeah, coffee's the
answer.
Yeah, it is the answer. Yeah, it's a little rocket for you. I don't know where that stat comes from. I don't have a source for that, but I'm
clickbait stat.
Well, it could well be. It's right at the start of the article, but it was worth bringing up. So we've got a global survey here of 70,000 working adults. 75% of UAE participants reportedly searching for new opportunities in the job market, even while employed. You'd be an advocate for that, I would guess.
And I think it'd be interesting if they said who were passive job seekers and who were active job seekers. I think everyone in their career should be a passive job seeker. You should always be engaging with recruiters. You should always be engaging with people in your industry who you want to go and work for, because you never know when that perfect job comes up. The best time to leave a job is when you're happy.
The 40 Towers idea.
Yes.
Yeah, again, that's the only thing I have.
That's a good one.
That's where I go.
I'm not sure some of the audience will get it.
The Office.
Yeah.
Cut it off while it's at the top.
But then you make a decision based on a very level playing field. You're happy in your current role. You've got a great opportunity. You really want to go for it. And you talk to your partner or your friend and say, what do you think? And they go, do you like your job now? Yeah. Why is this job going to be better? These are the reasons why. Great, do it.
Yeah,
if you do it when you're at a low, then everything is negative. And it's most people when they start feeling negative about a job, start looking. That's the normal process of doing things. But I always say to people, keep looking, because a job will come at you when you least expect it. A bit like a girlfriend.
Very true. Or policeman. No, they're getting younger.
They are.
Yeah, they
are.
are.
Oh my goodness! I'm not going to tell this story.
No, don't. No. Just stop yourself.
Farage's about to do the cut-off button.
Yeah. He's so nervous when you're in his little fingers down to the bone.
Sorry,
they're not little fingers, Farage. Don't worry. There was something else I wanted to ask you about this as well. Here's what it was: the normalisation of remote work is a part of this. The trends. Let me just run through the trends actually, just very quickly, and you'll know what we're talking about. Automating the process was something. The pandemic has digitalised so much, so that's kind of in place. Nothing massively remarkable about that. Incorporating IA, which is a bit like AI, just slightly different way of looking at it. AI tools incorporation.
I love the way you tried to style that one out.
I did, but it didn't work with you. You just laughed in my face.
We both did.
But that's we've done that so much.
Yeah.
So AI tools are there, whether you like it or not. It's getting up to speed with that. Emphasising business resilience. We talk about resilience all the time. That's obviously key. Prioritising employee wellness as well is a thing we're starting to see.
Yeah, I like this. I think if you have happy people at work, then your business environment will be a positive one. Right. If you have people that are sick, whether it be mentally, as in they're not happy, they're anxious, whatever, or they're physically sick, again, it creates an unbalanced workforce. So I think one of the things that we have to do as a country, certainly the UAE, where everyone's working really hard, and is try and look after people, their own personality, their own well-being, and do things like, so example, we do things like we take all our guys for riding on the beach, and then we have breakfast afterwards, once a month or so. Yeah, we do things like, cool. What did we do last time? We went bowling at Blue Water. Okay. It was really good. Yeah. And then we've got a pottery session coming up. I've got to say, I'm going to be a disaster. But we've asked people internally, out of the 40-odd people, what do you want to do? And there's some really unusual ideas, but they're all interesting ones that people want to get involved in. It's not just...
that maybe you wouldn't otherwise try.
No, I know. I'd love to, I'm quite looking forward to this. But what that does, that creates an environment where everyone has a say. If you've got an interest that you want to keep going, let the team be involved as well. We did the horror room, the Hint Hunt horror room thing.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And we had everyone turned up and everyone was screaming and stuff. But afterwards, everyone was super happy. They talked about it for a week afterwards. And I genuinely think the company felt better because we were all getting involved. Nobody was the MD. Everyone was the same. It was really nice.
Have you done the Smash Room?
Yes, I've done that.
How great is that?
Yeah, that's a slightly different dynamic, isn't it?
It is, but it's great.
I met the guy who set up Smash Room. He's a really nice guy, and I think that's a fantastic thing. It's over too quickly, and my blood was fired up by the time I'd smashed a CPU. And
it's awesome. It's so great. You really feel like you're getting your own back on all those computer crashes that have happened. All that blue screen stuff, no more. I'm getting you back now. And then to be able to throw an axe at a board.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
Oh, okay.
Throwing axes.
I went down to Sharjah and did the shooting. Really good.
Another great thing to do. Yeah, I've done that in Jebel Ali. But those are great team building things.
Exactly.
You just really wouldn't do that.
No, but I think you've got to think about your company. If it's all work and there's no social part, it becomes a not exciting place to work in. And the dynamic in our businesses, we don't talk about work all the time. People have sidebars. They talk about what they've done at the weekend, their interests. They talk about films they've seen. And I love that because it means that people feel relaxed enough they can talk about that in the office, but when they're working, they're going hard at it. And I think that's how it should be.
Okay, so that's something that is happening more and more. It's a trend, if you like, for this year. So we've got to normalising remote work. 98%, so this is pretty much everybody, of UAE-centred firms are thoroughly exploring hybrid work dynamics after the pandemic as the key to employee satisfaction. Is it as high as that?
Nah.
I don't think...
It's going backwards.
Do you think so?
Yep, absolutely.
Do you think it's reverting? It was okay for a while?
There was a great... I think it was one of the big venture capitalist firms in America said, the chief exec came in, I think JP Morgan or something, he said, right, all those people that work in Palo Alto or Nebraska or somewhere like that, we're going to cut your salary according to the location you work in, or you can come and work back in at Wall Street. Yeah,
Okay.
he was very, very he said, look, I don't mind you guys working remotely, but I'm not paying you a Wall Street salary when you're in Montana. Because the reality is it costs less to live there than it does in Wall Street. So if you want a Wall Street salary, come back in and work from the office. And I've seen this in the Middle East a bit more now. A lot of people are saying we want people back in the office more. And I think that's a real estate issue because FDs are looking at the asset, which is the building, and going, we're using it 3 days a week. We need to sweat that asset a bit more and use it because 2 days a week it's sitting empty.
Yeah. I like that, sweat the asset. That was good. Yeah, you're a boss.
I am.
Yeah. The other stat that sticks out from this is, there's a workspace report recently that saw the UAE as a global centre for hybrid working. I some of this I think, I'm not sure about this. But the other stat that I thought was interesting was the kind of the future UAE workforce, the coming generation, Gen Z, mostly want to be able to be hybrid. It's something like 70%. It was an overwhelming
I think they do, and
majority.
I'd love to analyse the reasons why, because I don't think it's to work harder.
Well, this is the thing. You automatically, if we're here and somebody says, "Oh, I'm working remotely today," your first thought is, "Yeah, right."
I'm pretty sure my guys work 2 days a week from home. Some work amazingly hard, some don't. I'm pretty sure some use it as a bit of a kickback day.
Probably.
Now, the reality is I can measure my workforce in terms of their outputs because we're a recruitment company, so it's a very easy thing to measure. But I think if you're a big corporate and you're doing flexible working, the first thing you've got to say is, how does that affect our bottom line? Second one is, how does it affect our people? Because they are synonymous. Basically, if one is working well, the other should be working well as well. So having a happy workforce means you'll make more money. Making more money, you've got a happy workforce. If that means that they want remote working, then how do you measure that remote working? Because I think a lot of companies here go, I'm not going to do remote working because it doesn't work. And I guarantee they haven't measured it.
I'd say that's highly likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
You can't take away remote working or hybrid working unless you put in place measures to understand if those people are working. You might find in some of my guys' cases, they work much harder at home, which is an issue again, because they're suffering more burnout because they're working harder at home and not switching off.
You also might find that people are much more productive at home because, I don't know, the school run comes at a certain time, so you have to get your list of stuff done by 2:00 or whatever it is. I mean, that's a possibility. I've got a consultant, Elena. She's been with me 6 years. She's got 3 kids. She had a new kid last year, who's lovely, and she has always worked at home, and she's our second biggest biller. Yeah. Okay. So, but it's the measurement of it, isn't it?
It's the measurement, and you have to give people a fair chance to perform. First couple of weeks, people are finding their way. They might get up a bit late. They might finish a bit early, but eventually it will work its way out, and then just look at their outputs. Yeah, okay. The next one was in creating an employee-centric culture, which people are trying to do, I guess. There wasn't anything remarkable in there, but the next thing I thought was, and this is funding upskilling or reskilling. I was interested to ask you this, and the reason is the great resignation, this kind of realization after COVID, I'm not sure, I could do something else, impacted companies globally, including here. So the enlightened employers took to reskilling people and looking at where the talent gaps were for their employees, which is great. So because the world had changed. So a major UAE HR trend has become the funding of skill development, which corroborates with the new digitized way of working. It says here. Is that something you're seeing? Yes, I've got a prime example. One of my consultants, Sue, who's been with me 6 or 7 years now, she came to me last year and said, I'd like to do a CIPD, which is the professional qualification for HR people. She works on the HR desk with me. We hire HR people. Everyone I've been dealing with, I'm really interested in what they do. I'd like to learn more. We funded her CIPD. Now, Sue will leave me at some point, which I'm going to encourage, because she's spent 6-7 years with me. She's been brilliant. She's really good. But her future is not going to be with us because she needs to move into a bigger organisation that has a proper HR function. We have 2 people. So as soon as she asked me that, I saw the end for me and her. But I think that's a positive thing, because I think I'm going to be so happy when she gets an HR manager job in another company, because I can see her blossoming as an individual. And employers have to realise that you have to upskill people. You have to get something back from that. So Sue's going to be with us for 2 years after that, doing our HR, giving us back, and then she's going to move on, which you have to be aware of.
That seems like a fair trade-off to me.
It's a really simple thing, and I think people go, well, I've paid for that. They can't leave me now. Of course they can, because now they're upskilled. You want them to find a new job. When they go out, there's 6 degrees separation. She will tell 6 of her friends how amazing we are as a company. One of those people could be a potential client and will give us more work.
Yeah.
That's exactly the whole thing about Mackenzie Jones. And I'm really proud of this after 20 years. We have 5 key values: honesty, transparency, long-term relationships. It's all about, you have to do the right things, and they come back. If you do the right things, people will always come back to you and said, I liked you, you did the right thing, I'm going to give you some work. As a candidate, if you go to an interview and you don't like that company, don't walk away and have a go at the company. No, just say they weren't for me. Keep in contact. Send them a nice note afterwards. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Very few people send emails to thank interviewers for their time.
That's a good point.
Social contract.
Yeah, no, fair.
Sorry, I digressed hugely because I got a bit passionate about that.
No, I enjoyed it. I felt it.
Farashia was welling up there.
His finger's sore because it's on the button. That's what it actually is.
I'm not sure he could do it quick enough.
Those are tears of pain. The last thing in this that I thought was interesting here, and this is a stat, and this is the last kind of subheading, was letting millennials and Gen Z lead. Data insights reveal that the younger generations are expected to reach 75% of total employees in the UAE by 2026. So HR trends are constantly kind of adapting to nurture that rising talent. That was the last thing. I can see you've done that kind of turning your nose up
sneery
thing,
look.
that sneery look.
I don't think that's right at all.
You don't think it is?
No, I think one of the things what I love about the UAE, it values experience, and it values people who have got that experience. And I think there's a really good instance in Saudi Arabia. There's a big push for obviously nationalisation, and what we're recruiting is a Saudi national and an expat. The expat's job is to teach the Saudi national how to do the job.
Okay.
And eventually, when that Saudi national has learned how to do that job, that expat will leave.
Right.
And I think we're expecting our millennials to learn everything in about 2 minutes. I think there has to be a time where they have to go learning, they have to learn, they have to develop, they have to make mistakes, they have to move jobs, they have to grow as individuals. And if you try and do that in 2 or 3 years, it doesn't work.
You have to live a life to get somewhere.
And I think the problem with this nowadays is the instant gratification of our culture, which permeates away from the social fabric of our society, the Instagram, the TikTok. You know, we've got so many influencers here. In my world, runfluencers. I know, somebody made that one up. But I think, so we're so used to instant gratification. I think in the workplace, this is creeping in more and more. People are, well, I want to be promoted within a year and I want to be there by the time I'm 25. You shouldn't be looking at it like that. You should be, right, what do I need to do to become a manager? What are the skills I need to do so that when I become a manager, I can do the job properly, not fail at doing that job, which people are doing now.
That's interesting because, okay, so it's fine to have the aim. I want to get to this point and I want to be promoted in a year, and that's great. But you have to balance that with the nows to know that you have to do things to get there. It's not just turning up.
No, I wanted to be an MD by the time I was 30. And what that meant to me was I wanted to run a company, I wanted to be responsible for the P&L, and I wanted to be responsible for the people and the profit at the end of that. So what I did, I rewound that back when I was 25, and I said, right, what do I need in my armory to skill me up for that job? So I need to be able to read a P&L. I need to be able to manage people. I need to be able to manage conflict. I need to be able to produce a strategy document. And I learned those things. I sat with an accountant. I learned how to read a P&L.
We've had Sweating the Asset, we've had P&L this morning.
Sorry, I know.
It's like acronym central.
I'm so sorry.
Or business phrase central. You'll be parking your tanks on the lawn and running the flag up the pole to see who salutes.
I was in the artillery, not a tank regiment. But Yes, sorry, forgive me on that.
But your point, I think you make a really good point. Is you have to do the work to get the work.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
I think the problem we have, and my one criticism of the culture climate we're currently in, is this instant gratification is permeating into the workforce, and I think people are expecting to be a manager very quickly, and they're not prepared to skill themselves up to be able to do that job properly.
Yeah, so it's the role for the role's sake.
I had a person turn down a job the other day because the job title was not director. Yet all the facets of the job meant they had developed, but they turned a job down because they didn't have a director title.
What was the title?
It was, I think, senior legal something. It was
senior is good.
Well, I thought that as well, but I do understand that sometimes because the person said, well, I've worked this hard, I want to become a director. I'm like, but why do you want to become a director? I want the title. Why? And that was my question. A bit disappointing, if I'm honest with you, but it is what it is.
We all have our reasons, I suppose. It's kind of odd in my head as well. The last thing I wanted to... So that's really kind of the HR trend thing. I was just interested in your thoughts on that. And as always, plenty to say, Mr. Mackenzie. Thank you.
Sorry, I do go off on a rant sometimes.
That's why you're here. Without you, we'd miss you. You've been interested, I know, in lots of emiratization stories. I mentioned one earlier, the ruler of Sharjah announcing 1,000 new government jobs under the 2026 budget. So there's a training and a qualification program approved as well. So that's a big thing that, it's a way of reinforcing the emiratization drive in the emirate. But I know this is something that's kind of close to your heart, something you follow. Yeah, I mean, you have to follow closely.
We've got a dedicated nationalisation team, and it sort of is the future of our business. And I really believe, having been here 20 years, the future are the nationals of the country that we work in, whether it be UAE or Saudi Arabia. And I think somebody asked me a really interesting question the other day. Do the UAE nationals not want expats here anymore? That's why the nationalisation levels are so high. And I said, you're looking at this completely the wrong way. The UAE... its remit is to get its nationals into the workforce and to create a culture and a company and a country that fulfills all those basic needs for their local population.
Sure.
What expats are here for, and we must be really honest about why we're here to educate, develop, and make sure we pass on all of our knowledge to those UAE nationals. So they in turn can become the leaders of the country and do what His Highness has done now, created this amazing country in 60 years from nothing to where it is now, a global player. So I think when people say to me, well, they just want to get rid of us, that's not the case. And if you talk to some of the senior leadership and we work with lots of local family groups, when you ask them, do you not want nationals anymore? They go, no, we really want, what we're trying to do is how do we retain our nationals now, our expats now? How do we retain them? Because they've still got that locked in 20, 30, 40, 50 years of experience in other countries, and they can bring that knowledge to the UAE. And then we can teach our nationals, we can teach them the local side of it and the international side, and they become global citizens. I love this bit about the UAE. There is not a push to get rid of expats. That's never been the case.
I've never felt that that's the case. I mean, if you can buy a house, you can stay for, the point is about making a contribution.
Absolutely. And you know what I love? I think it's a bit different now, but you used to have 30 days and then that would be it. Because you have to have a job to come to the UAE, which means you have to contribute to the society and the well-being of the country. And I think that's a utopian goal that works beautifully well.
Which at the outset. So again, it's the social contract idea, isn't it? And if you know that at the outset, what's wrong with that? I struggle to find anything wrong with it.
You got to remember, the expats are the majority of the UAE. Saudi, it's a completely different angle. And actually, the conversation I have with Saudis is how can we attract more expats, because we need more learning here. We need AI learning, we need cyber learning, we need recruitment learning. And they're like massive sponges. They just want to learn as much as possible. So at one point, we will not be needed.
No, but
I hope so.
People are always needed for something.
Exactly.
But you're having two. It's interesting with you because you spend a lot of time in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
It's kind of half Saudi, half
Yeah.
UAE, isn't it for you? So you're having these two different conversations side by side,
Yeah.
aren't you? It's really two sides of a similar coin.
But there is a very similar thought running through both those conversations. Both the Saudis and the UAE nationals want us, need us, and are keen for us to be here. And they want to get different types of skill sets here. There is a longevity to the expat. We'll be here in 50, 100 years probably, because there's always going to be a need for new knowledge. And sometimes that knowledge is in Russia, UK, South Africa, that isn't born here. And we're great at attracting that so we can build up our AI, our data, all those sorts of things.
And who knows what's coming next as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing, we're teaching our children for jobs that don't exist yet, apparently. I've heard that many times.
We are, and it's sort of oxymoron. We don't know what they are, so how can we teach them?
Yeah, it's a very different discussion, really.
I'm sure we can do a long one on it.
Yeah, that'll be next week. No, it won't. You're away for a couple of weeks,
I'm
aren't
off
you?
to Barcelona.
Okay, that'll be nice. And you're doing a big stand-up comedy tour or something?
No, I'm doing a big RPO conference, actually, which is one of our businesses. And I'm off to Australia for 3 weeks.
Are you tempted to do a bit of stand-up at the
No,
conference?
I'd be terrible.
I think you'd be good.
Do you?
Yeah, I think you could do it.
Thank
yeah,
you. That's a nice
absolutely.
compliment.
No, that is. I couldn't do it. I think it's a very, very particular skill. I respect stand-up comics a lot. Generally, I think very intelligent people.
Yes, and that's why I'm probably not right for it.
You make a good point. David Mackenzie is, you're going to like this one today, I said it was Mexican. You're the big enchilada at Mackenzie
Love
Jones.
that.
That's good. I thought you'd like that. It's been great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.